It's 2014, and US Navy SEAL Efrem Martos is on deployment in Afghanistan protecting the rear of his team. It's all quiet, when suddenly he sees two girls running towards him wearing backpacks, crying. He's seen this before. He knows that these girls are suicide bombers. Efrem begins shouting at them to stop, but they don't listen. They just keep crying and running towards him. Efrem raises his gun and begins applying pressure to the trigger. He doesn't want to shoot these girls, but it's also his job to protect the rear of his squad. They're getting closer and closer. At this range, Efrem will likely be killed if the bombs go off. He's about to fire, but at the last minute, the girls stop and run off, almost as if they knew that they were about to get shot. Efrem gives a massive sigh of relief. But this insanely intense 5-second encounter, he will remember for the rest of his life. It would change him forever, and it was also the starting point of him going rogue. A couple years later in 2017, Efrem's contract with the US Navy SEALs ran out. He's like a lot of my friends, unemployed. He was only 24 and almost every Navy SEAL in his position would just re-enlist.
Sign the contract, big boy, sign the contract.
But instead, Efrem had something else in mind. He had been planning something very different ever since that moment in Afghanistan. So, he got onto social media and reached out to the Free Burma Rangers. These guys were a civilian military group that provided aid in support areas with the highest civilian casualties. And back in 2017, they were in Iraq, where these psychos called ISIS, who you may have heard of, were in full effect. And that's where Efrem wanted to be too. So he reached out and said that he wants to join the Free Burma Rangers. Now, I'm sure you can imagine, the Free Burma Rangers were hyped to have a Navy SEAL join them and quickly accepted. Now, it's important to mention that not only was Iraq mad dangerous, of course, but Efrem's whole combative career, he'd been under the US military. He was now going there as a civilian, which meant that, he had no USS or no US medical team, just no backup of any kind. He was going there solo. But Efrem knew the dangers, of course, and because he was a big G, he knew that more needed to be done. That the incident in Afghanistan had shown him that just how evil some people on earth were, forcing girls to do that, and he wanted to put an end to it. So Efrem said,
"Fine, I'll do it myself."
And so in 2017, he shipped himself out to Iraq. When Efrem got there, he was picked up by the Free Burma Rangers and quickly met their leader, an ex-Green Beret in his 50s called Dave. Safe to say that this guy was another badass. I mean, this guy was basically the real life Captain Price. When Efrem arrived, he was straight to business and they immediately went to link up with a leader in the Iraqi army who Dave knew. So once Dave, Efrem and the rest of the Free Burma Rangers met this Iraqi army leader, they were told the plan, which was to retake the city called Mosul. Now this city has another name, which was the City of Death. And basically Efrem and the Free Burma Rangers were going to help the Iraqi army to take the city back from ISIS. So the plan initially was that Efrem and the boys retake the villages around Mosul. And this is where shit starts to get serious. So over the next couple of weeks, Efrem and the Free Burma Rangers were going door to door. They were going into these villages and trying to just get rid of the ISIS insurgents who were there. Now, I'm sure that they saw a load of crazy shit, but this one particular day, there was another level of crazy shit that happened. Firstly, they had to sprint through this minefield to even get to this village. And then once there, they started clearing out rooms with ISIS members inside, close quarter fighting. And Efrem has bloody GoPro footage of this, so YouTube, please don't do me in the arse for this one.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000.
And if you didn't realize, that's Big Dave in front of Efrem, who are both about to find something insane.
Got a bunch of gear right here. Socks, they left in a hurry.
Now the footage stops here, but look, big dark ISIS tunnel. I don't know about you, but there's no way I am going in there. But of course, I'm not Dave or Efrem, so they do what we all expect. They jump straight in to this ISIS tunnel. And listen to Efrem himself explains what happens next.
And when we get into the small building, there's a tunnel. There's the entrance to an ISIS terror tunnel that goes down underneath this village.
And you go right into it.
And so we go right into
God
it.
damn.
Yeah. So we go in there, and we're throwing grenades. The other guy, he's throwing grenades ahead of us to sort of clear the way. We get to this large open shaft in this tunnel, and we look up, and there's like another entrance. There's like maybe 10 feet above us. So like we're deep underground right now. And like maybe 10 or 15 feet above us, there's another entrance of a tunnel that goes in a different direction that we don't have access to. And so we're like, that's weird. ISIS must be up there. They must have, they must have like climbed up there and pulled a ladder up with them.
So ISIS got the hell out of there. So Ephraim and the boys also left. But they were not finished just yet. They were going to do some Kobe Bryant mentality shit.
So we get out of the tunnel. And so then the Iraqi army, they had taken the town at that point. And then what they did was they brought in a bulldozer, because it's an armored unit, so they have a bunch of bulldozers and stuff, and they collapsed the tunnel. They just collapsed the entrance to the tunnel, and there was like another exit. They collapsed the exit and all this kind of stuff, and they fill it all in. So we leave. We come back the next day. The Iraqi army still is monitoring, or still is holding this town. We come back the next day, and the Iraqis tell us, they're like, hey, that tunnel you guys went into, last night, right where that giant shaft is, we heard 2 explosions underground, and ISIS guys were in there, and they had killed themselves because they were buried alive.
That's like something that you would see in a Mr. Beast video gone left. Now that story was crazy, but things were only going to get even more insane for Ephraim and the boys. Up until this point, the Free Burma Rangers had been doing 2 main jobs. Number 1, providing medical assistance to the injured civilians and the Iraqi army, and number 2, clearing out the villages around Mosul like we just discussed. Meanwhile, the Iraqi army was fighting ISIS within the city. Now, despite what you may think, the Iraqi army was doing pretty decent and had actually retaken most of the city. The issue was the north of Mosul. ISIS were putting up a crazy final stand, and this was the last part of the city that needed to be retaken so it'd be free from ISIS. So the Iraqi army decided to call in everybody that they could to help with this one final push, including our boys, the Free Burma Rangers. This was without a doubt the most dangerous mission that they had done yet, and it'll also be their most famous. So it begins with the Iraqi army along with Ephraim and the Free Burma Rangers lining up preparing to attack the city. Now I don't want to ruin it, so I'm going to let Ephraim take this one away again.
Yeah, right where your cursor is. And the Iraqi army lined up all their tanks right there.
So this is just south of the Tigris River, basically.
Yeah, where where it turns. And they just did a full-blown World War II style online assault directly at the ISIS positions there in Musharifa. And so we didn't know this was happening until it was happening. And so
you're in the middle of it.
And we're in the middle of it. So they line up, they start firing, they attack. We're on foot behind these tanks. ISIS, of course, they immediately open fire, and they start sending out car bombs and mortars and stuff like that. And there's landmines everywhere. So some of the tanks would hit landmines and they'd blow up, they'd blow off a track.
It was basically a Lord of the Rings charge. And for the next 3 days, Ephraim and the boys were involved in door-to-door combat, clearing out the city. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Sergeant Riley, why don't the Iraqis or the US just bomb the hell out of the city? Well, listen up. The reason is because ISIS were using civilians within the city as hostages because, again, they're completely evil. They knew that as long as civilians were in the city, the Iraqi army and the US wouldn't do exactly that and just airstrike the hell out of them. But when Ephraim and the Iraqi army started their charge, the civilians who had been living through this war zone thought it was their time to get away from ISIS. So they just started fleeing. Unfortunately though, ISIS wasn't going to let this happen, and they just started gunning them down wherever they could. This is likely the most traumatic thing that Ephraim had ever seen.
I don't know how many civilians ran away, but it was a lot. May have been 500, I don't know. Because 200 of them were slaughtered in the street. That doesn't include the wounded. 200 people were killed right in front of ISIS headquarters as this massive group of people all got up and left at the same time. So these Iraqi civilians who are tired of being around ISIS, they want to get away, they want to get their kids to safety, so they're grabbing their kids and they're taking a backpack and they're running. ISIS just gunned them all down. And so there's literally piles of bodies where people are getting shot, falling down, other people climbing over those bodies, getting shot, falling on top of those bodies, more people trying to climb over those bodies, getting shot. And so there's like literally a pile of bodies in one spot.
Ephraim goes on to talk about in the moment how he was just numb to this, and I do want to mention that I highly recommend this podcast. I've linked it down in the description below. But as Ephraim got closer to the massive pile of bodies, he saw something.
And when we got on scene and we were looking through the buildings and through some of the some of the safe angles to see what had happened, we noticed a little girl alive in the pile of bodies, and she's just sitting there like in shock, and we believe she's hiding under her dead mother. She's 50 to 75 meters away from ISIS headquarters, just laying in this pile of bodies. And so we all looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we gotta go. We gotta do something here.
Gotta get her.
Yeah, we had no choice. And we can't wait till night. We gotta go now. Otherwise this girl, because it was like early in the morning when we found her, I was like, she's not gonna survive.
I mean, geez, man. Sorry for interrupting again. I just don't want to get done by a copyright claim. So Ephraim spoke to Dave, and they organized with the Iraqi army for a tank to drive up to where the girl was in the pile of bodies, which is also directly outside of ISIS headquarters. So this was basically no man's land. Ephraim also spoke to the US military, and they said that they could give him a smoke screen to help retrieve this girl. And just like that, the plan was set into motion. Ephraim, Dave, and some of the other Free Burma Rangers would move up alongside this tank through the cover of a smoke screen, while ISIS basically just fired blindly on them from every direction.
So the US military made a call, and they started firing using artillery. They started firing white phosphorus, which was detonating in the air and was building up this like smoke screen in front of ISIS. And then the Iraqi army are the ones actually driving the tank that you see in the video, but the Iraqi army is driving that. And then that was it. So we had a tank, a smoke screen, and then there was like 4 or 5 of us who were going to go on this mission to get this little girl.
Yes, you did hear that correctly. There is footage of this, and let me just say, this is as crazy as you would think. Roll the clip. That was Dave. I mean, not all heroes wear capes, clearly. But it wasn't over. Not only did they still need to get back out alive, they'd also spotted another injured civilian in the pile of bodies where they got the girl from. So they did the same thing. Ephraim gives cover fire while Dave and another Free Burma Ranger run out and try and grab the injured civilian. They managed to grab the other person and then signaled for the tank to start reversing. But now the smoke had started to clear and ISIS could see them more clearly. And of course, as a result, they just started receiving even more fire from ISIS. Did you just see that? If we slow it down, you can see Ephraim get shot clean through the leg. He hits the deck, and just like the absolute Navy SEAL goat that he is, he just gets straight back up and acts like nothing happened. So the clip stops there, but Dave, Ephraim, and the civilians all managed to get back to safety. And I mean, this story needs a movie with Liam Neeson as Dave and Russell Crowe as Ephraim. But yeah, it was pretty heavy. Fortunately, I had a happy ending with civilians and, like I said, the Free Burma Rangers getting out okay. Ephraim also has a book on this, which is adequately named The City of Death. I'll link in the description again if you want to check it out. Also, if you like this video, my first one is on when Army Rangers smoke some Crips. Click here to check it out.